Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I'll be providing my book review of Timothy Zahn's science fiction standalone novel, Mantas Gift. To provide some backstory, I have read a lot of books by Timothy Zahn. He is most famous for his Star Wars novels. He's written 16 of them, all of which have been superb, just about. I really enjoy his Star Wars novels, and that's what he's most known for. But he also wrote a lot of science fiction. I've read several of his series, although not all of them. I read the Sybil's War trilogy, which I thought was good. I read the Cobra series, which I thought was very good. The first 3 books, I haven't read the rest of it. And then I also read his book trilogy, the Conqueror's trilogy, which is my favorite science fiction trilogy, and it was just superbly well done. I love the Conqueror's trilogy. But I've also read some standalones from his, and he kind of writes in eras. You have the 80s where he was writing for DAW books, and also he was writing for Baen books. He's written for Baen throughout his career, but that was when he was really big with Baen. Then in the 90s, he went to Bantam, and then in the 2000s, he went to Tor and worked with Del Rey, and he kind of writes in eras, and one of the eras is the late 90s through early 2000s when he did some great standalone books. He wrote the book Angel Mass in this time, which up till now was my favorite book of science fiction and my favorite Timothy Zahn novel. I thought this was a superb book, and this was actually one of the first science fiction novels I've ever read, and it just catapulted me into the fandom. I only read this because I saw the name Timothy Zahn, and I saw that it was a standalone book, and I was like, hey, I want to read books of his that aren't Star Wars, because I had read his Star Wars stuff, and so this got me into science fiction. And then I also read a few years ago his book, The Icarus Hunt, which I thought was very good. I know other people loved it more. I didn't. It's not a favorite of mine from his, but it's still a very excellent novel. And in fact, the sequel has already come out. It's called The Icarus Plot. It is even though it is a sequel, Timothy Zahn says you don't have to have read the first book. But still, the sequel has just come out. I have not read it or reviewed it yet because my copy hasn't arrived as of recording this, and I'm still waiting. So I will have that up when it comes. So I'm sorry that I can't discuss the Icarus Plot yet, but when my copy comes in, I will read it that day. I promise that. So that's the Icarus Hunt. And so while I was waiting, I was like, I want to read another Timothy Zahn novel, and I saw at the bookstore this book, Mantas Gift, and I had been putting this off because the cover weirded me out. And I just wasn't sure I was going to like the book, and so I just kept putting it off. And finally, I read it, and I am so thankful that I read this book, because this is my new all-time favorite science fiction novel and my new favorite novel from Timothy Zahn. I absolutely loved everything about this book. I was blown away. From about the first chapter, there's like a prologue. After the prologue and the first chapter began, I was just floored at the level of storytelling that Timothy Zahn has in this book. So I'm going to go through and discuss the details of my review, but you can already tell I loved this thing. So, as many a reviewer has pointed out, there are many similarities to James Cameron's Avatar movie, which I actually just watched recently, and I thought was pretty entertaining. It's not my favorite movie ever, but I was amazed at the visuals, and I thought the story was really fun. I'm talking about the Blue People Avatar, not the animated series. And I did notice the similarities here. You'll notice that both series, both this book and Avatar, have a quadriplegic who basically, well, I think in Avatar he's not actually quadriplegic. Anyway, someone who is disabled has to basically be sent into the body of this alien species in order to create like an ambassador to that species, someone that we can send to be our liaison, to send work diplomacy, things like that. And that's where the similarities start and end. There are some plot similarities that go into spoilers for this book that are you can kind of see similar to Avatar, but it's not entirely the same. But This book starts with the character of Matthew Ramsey, who, when he becomes one of these manta rays, one of the Kanska, he becomes Manta. And he is a very frustrating character at the beginning. He's rude, he's arrogant, he is not. You meet him right after his accident that causes him to lose use of his arms and legs. And he is just down and out, and he is not in a good mood, which you kind of expect that, but still he's a bit extra rude. And he is the person that signs up. Well, not sign up. He's kind of made to sign up, but it is his option, his choice. He signs up to do this, and it is a weird concept. He is put inside a pregnant manta, and his cells are like burned away like acid or something, and then he's reformed as the manta. It's a really bizarre concept, but it is told brilliantly in this book. I was floored by it. You also have in this book, you have the humans are trying to interact with these Kanska manta rays who are in the Jupiter atmosphere, and the way he writes the Kanska is so visual. I could feel their culture in here. You know, they're swimming through the air, which is a really weird way to say that. But yeah, they're swimming through the air. And there are discussions of what their mating lives are like. There's discussions of what their social and political hierarchy is like. There are discussions of their history and where they came from and things like that, and it's just so cool. And the way that he's able to show their characteristics as being super alien and yet being able to merge that with the human character of Matthew Ramsey, I thought was very entertaining. There is also a second storyline in this book that deals with the main character, but kind of in a side direction, and that is focusing on the character of Colonel Jacob Faraday and his storyline of observing the mantas. He is sent by this organization known as the 500 to observe Manta as he joins the Kanska and to try to find out information from them and to establish good relationships. What Faraday doesn't know is that this the Earth's leadership, the 500, has ulterior motives, and they intend some sinister things to do with the Kanska. And Faraday is one of the only people to actively oppose this. He has to fight against the machine in order to protect the Kanska and to protect Matthew Ramsey. And I thought this would be a much more boring... I love politics. That was my major. I love discussing political storylines and all this stuff, but I expected that to be not as interesting because it's not featuring our main character, and it was mostly static. It's almost entirely characters walking and talking around a ship, but it was so entertaining. Timothy Zahn keeps you on the edge of your seat because you have to figure out, I think I know where this story is heading, but you don't really know how they'll get there, and so you're just waiting for the next twist, the next pseudo drop to explain how does this work. You think, okay, it makes sense that our characters want to do this. Why do they want to do this though? How are they going to get there? It is he sets up the question and then he just knocks it out of the park with his answers. It's so well done. It's more than just a meanwhile back at the ranch type storyline, which I really, really liked. There's a lot of deeper themes and excellent questions raised in this book regarding diplomacy, regarding reaching out to new peoples, regarding warfare, regarding genocide and communication and globalism, or in this case, universalism. There's also about questions about humanity, what makes us human, and why is that important? And just in every sense of the themes, Timothy Zahn knocks it out. He easily could have spent another 100 pages exploring the universe, exploring the world, but he didn't need to because he packs everything in. He does an excellent job. This is a pretty short book. It's only about a 400-page read. Of these standalones I've discussed, it's by far the shortest, and yet almost feels like it has just as much world building as these two books. In fact, I would say it has much more world building than Icarus Hunt does. So I was floored by all the world building and all the deeper themes that this book had. it does really have some good, shocking, and surprising twists and turns. So I can't go into those because those are spoilers. But suffice it to say, there are some the ways that Faraday is able to get out of things with the politics is great. The way that Manta is able to escape the consequences of his actions, because boy, does he have a lot of missteps in this book, which I liked. He is he goes on a huge journey. At the beginning, he's a brat, and then in the middle, he's kind of bratty, but he's also kind of heroic, and then by the end, he's fully hero, and he's just had this huge 180 transformation that I really liked. But also, there are some disturbing things in this book, some disturbing questions regarding life itself, regarding some of the aspects of the Manta of the Kanska, and this, of course, gets into the spoilers, so I'll try to teeter around it. But I would say this is as close to an argument between pro-life and pro-choice that Timothy Zahn gets, and it's weird. It's weird, but I was entranced by it. I thought it was brilliant the way he wrote everything, and so I was very happy with that storyline, even if I didn't agree with Zahn on all the points that are made. Like, both sides of the argument are heavily present, and you have to read it for yourself because it's just so good. If you've read the book, you know exactly what scene in particular I'm referring to. This book does leave potential for sequels, and certainly if he wrote a sequel, I would be here on day one to read it. But it doesn't need sequels. It's kind of like Avatar. Avatar does the movie, Blue People movie, doesn't need sequels, but if there's sequels, I'll go watch them. Nonetheless, it's a fun standalone that has potential, but it's great as is. And as I said, it is my favorite science fiction novel. But even then, I still have one small criticism. There is one character who has a deus ex machina at the end, who it's like, oh, I think I remember you, and they come and save the day. And I thought, do I remember? Yeah, I remember you, but why aren't you? Wait, what happened? And it feels a little bit like I need someone to take the brunt of this. And so this character shows back up to do that. And I was like, It was a similar feeling I had to when Benjen Stark comes in at the end of season 7 and puts Jon Snow on the horse. That similar type of Deus Ex Machina. But I was like, okay. I feel like if we had spent more time with that character, it would have been more impactful, and also it would have been set up more. But more, I was like, I guess this character's taken this, I guess. So that was a little criticism I had, but that's still really small. But that being said, this is a terrific, amazing novel. I loved so much of it. I was floored by the world building, by the deeper themes, by the characters, by the plotting. It's a fun book. I read it really fast, not just because I had time on my hands, but because I had to find out what was happening. So I give this book a 10 out of 10. Potentially best book of the year. This is in contention for the best book I've read this year. I loved it. Now, let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below if you've read this book, if you've read any Timothy Zahn books or are interested in reading this book. And let me know what you think of some of the twists and turns as well. I would love to be able to discuss those with some people. But this is a wonderful book. So please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video and comment. It'll help in the algorithm. And until next time, I'm Jonathan. And thank you for watching.